bonjour, comment allez-vous?
Yeah, merci.
C'est super,
Et
magnifique.
vous?
Mais non, pas du tout. Au contraire, je ne parle pas en français. Parlez en anglais, s'il vous plaît. I
Pas
could
de
only
problème.
speak English, so.
Parler anglais.
Oui.
So, everyone, hey, congratulations for Love Trip Paris, which is out today on Valentine's, which is perfect program for everyone to watch. So let's ask that basic question that's always on the mind when someone does a show like this is why would you want to do a reality TV show like Love Trip Paris? I mean, what's wrong with love life in the first place?
Absolutely. I always said I would never do reality dating. I was like, maybe I would do the Amazing Race, like and travel and do a bunch of risky fun stuff. But then they said there's this show that's in Paris. And I was like, I would do anything to be in Paris again. I was literally looking for a way to get back to Paris after having lived there in 2021. And I also reached a place in my life where I was like, I just finally loved myself. Honestly, I had been in many unsuccessful relationships, successful in the way that they taught me. I learned, I got here, but I finally felt ready for something commitment oriented where I could grow with a partner, and I love French people. So.
Anyone else?
Yeah. Oh, you go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I think in the same way, I knew that Paris was worth it in all regards. And the risk of falling in love or getting your heart broken, again, Paris was worth it. So that was it for me.
Josielyn, it looks like you wanted to chime in.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been to Paris, but I've always loved like the French culture, the fashion, the food, the music, and I've always dreamt of going to Paris. And I mean, I've always dreamt of falling in love, and why not just fall in love in Paris? So definitely it was a lot of really new, exciting things for me. And it was like why not? Like you only live once, and this just seems like an amazing opportunity. And it hasn't worked out for me here, so why not just go?
And Caroline.
Yeah, for me, I actually have a double, hold on, let me just speak English for a moment. I actually have a double major in French from NYU. So I've studied in Paris itself a few times. I've studied in France a total of 3. So I knew France very well. And for me, I'm a big believer in the universe. And I just got like, literally my cat woke me up at 3 a.m. There was this ad saying we need 20-something-year-old lesbians to speak French. It's like, oh, that's me. And it was just like everything kind of aligned. I had always been in love with Paris. I hadn't been to Paris, I think, in about 5 years. I wanted to go back so desperately. I had been manifesting it. And all of a sudden, here comes this sign of like, it's your time. And so I'm not going to say no to that. Like, you want me to go to France to date beautiful women? Like, who's going to say no to that? I'm not.
Most excellent. I guess the show begs to ask that question is, are women and men from Paris a whole lot different from us Americans? Can you answer that? Because after all, you folks were there for a whole 8 weeks.
Yeah, I think dating in general nowadays is really difficult. It's definitely a process, but French people are so different and go about romance so differently, and dating so differently, in a surprisingly good way. So yeah, I think it was it was an experience.
French people are so funny. Like, I don't think they understand how funny they are to Americans, just in their way of living life. You know what I mean? And so dating is obviously going to be a lot different there because there's just the intensity, the intention, even just when you are dating somebody who's French and their first language or their like second language is not even English, and you just have so much fun listening to how they interpret our language, like it creates a different atmosphere and experience, and it just opens you up more because there's already walls that have to come down because you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable speaking a language that isn't yours. And yeah, I mean, it's fun. It's different and it's interesting, but it's fun.
Yes, I think it's a lot of fun to just really just throw yourself into a whole other culture and try to meet like completely new different people and then try to like date them. I mean it was a lot of fun, and I definitely feel like they had different ways of doing things. You know, I feel like the French people are very passionate, and it was completely different from, you know, dating in LA. And I felt like a lot of the French suitors, they dated with intention. And you know, like they really were there to really meet people and create strong connections versus, you know, I think in the States it's very casual, very, you know, especially this generation, it's very like, well, I can meet the next person on an app like this, and you know, and just completely stopped talking to you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it obviously helps if there's already kind of an affinity there. You know, there's always this thing that eludes people of culturally, you know, being attracted to differences. And it's like, oh, because for me, and I think all four of us, we love learning. So it's like to be paired with a partner who you can learn from forever because they have such a different background than you is fascinating. Because at the end of the day, especially if you want to grow old with someone, like kinds of things are going to fade, and that's the beauty of life. But like, what do you have left with? A best friend. So for me, I needed someone who was intriguing and interesting, and that has always meant for me dating people with a different background. Just someone who can offer, especially if it's another language, that's even more fun for me. I love languages, so yeah.
Well, I have to admit, I'm a bit jealous because I always fall for the person with the French accent. I just don't know why. It's just
You're not alone.
it just sounds
You're
so
not alone in
lovely.
that one. Like I said, that's part of the fun. Like the pronunciation of things is just like you'll see it. You'll see it in the show.
Yeah.
Like it's just the subtitles that need to be used because of the accents. It's like it's comical in such a pure way. You're like, God bless these people. They are such.
They're saying it to us. That's
Yes.
the precious thing. It's been like them on the flip side going, what are these Americans saying?
Yeah.
We're just like,
like it's funny with our pronunciation versus their like it's such a fun time.
Now, tell us about, you know, Paris itself, because Paris itself is a character, you know, known as the city of love. And again, I guess your dating life in Paris is probably a whole lot different from America, going to chain restaurants like an Applebee's or something like that.
exactly. You did it.
Olive Garden.
I mean, Paris itself is a date. You don't even have to do anything or go to a restaurant. It's you're walking around, and it's like an outdoor museum. And then on top of that, it's extremely beautiful and romantic. Like old cobblestone streets, and people are a lot more public about love there and affection, where, you know, I think in the US you walk around and you'd see two people making out on a street corner, you'd be like, what are they doing? Why aren't they inside somewhere? But there's something about being in Paris that it's like, oh, you feel it, and you feel it in a way that's it's the whole city. It's amazing.
Yeah, I feel understood in Paris. I know we've talked about creating ourselves, discovering ourselves, feeling our most authentic selves in Paris, but because it's such a nutrient-dense ground for that, exactly, of going, you have everything you need to be yourself and live your main character energy life, which the four of us are bold women who want to do that. And this gave us an opportunity to be ourselves and look for love, which was very genuine for all four of us. So Paris, I mean, I get that people have their own preferences, but for me, I'm like, how could you go wrong? You know?
And I have seen a few episodes, and I do have to admit that this is probably the most, what was it, sexual diversity. I don't even know if that's even like a category, sexual diversity.
Yay!
To
Love
the point, to the point of all the women and men on this, I feel like I had to create a Venn diagram trying to keep track of everybody. So I want to know how you girls, all you ladies, bonded together and not compete and end up hating on each other for all the competition.
Well, honestly, it's so easy to not hate on each other because as soon as we met each other, there was just so much love there. And it was like, no matter, okay, this sounds weird, but like, no matter how much you wanted to hate somebody, you're like, I can't. You're like, this is my sister. This is my family. Like, there's no way in hell I'm ever going to be able to hate these people, get catty with these people. It's just my relationships with them at the end of the day. That's what's keeping me going here. There's no way that I'm ever going to be able to have any ounce of distrust, dislike towards these people. And we really are like a family. Don't get it wrong. Like we've been frustrated, we've been stressed, but there's love.
Yeah, there's love, there's respect, there's empathy. I mean, we really saw ourselves in each other. There's always a point where if one of us is struggling or is down, we're like, girl, I've been there. I get it, you know? And it was, none of us wants to be left out or overlooked or anything like that. So we saw each other, we listened to each other, we held space, we had good boundaries, we had good communication, very direct. Hey, I'm feeling this way, or I like this, I don't like that. And so that gave us the, you know, the space to feel seen, heard, validated, and to be able to connect, which is, it takes vulnerability and good communication, and we practiced that. So we had fun because of it.
We had a lot of fun, maybe too much fun.
Yeah, we could all tell by with those episodes that we actually watch. Now, in the most important aspect of this show, it seems like each of you learn more about yourselves as the show actually goes on. So I want to hear from each of you. What was the most important lesson that you learned about yourself, and do you wish to change it?
I think,
yeah, go ahead, Sabrina.
especially in dating, you can only like know someone as much as you know yourself. So I think it's really good that the biggest lesson we learned was about ourselves, because you can't be in a functional, healthy relationship unless you can look at yourself and look into that deeply. But for me, I think the lesson that, you know, really stuck with me out of all of this was that there's a lot of freedom and pleasure in kind of exploring things and not having a set timeline or set goals in the way that life is. I think that life can be really chaotic and stressful in my normal life, and you know, I am pretty regimented about how I spend my time and what I want to do and what I want to accomplish. And this experience really let me let go of that and find, you know, myself and what I genuinely wanted and what was best for me.
Most excellent.
Yeah,
Caroline,
I think for me, like we were just talking about this, I guess the biggest thing I learned was being honest with myself about what I can and cannot handle and what I do and do not need. Because I think in the past, you know, I'm somebody who's like, if I love somebody as a friend, as a partner, as a family member, I have the absolute most patience. It is so rare that I will just get up and say, I can't do it anymore. It takes a long time. And because of that, I have stayed in relationships, friendships, whatever, longer than I should have, because I can do it. Let me bite off more than I can chew. Let me just deal with it, because my love for this person means everything to me. And I think in this experience, what I learned is you come first, in a sense. Like the right person for me, we're going to be able to find that balance. And there are things that I cannot deal with in life anymore, and there are things that I can, and they're just things that I do not need. And being really honest with myself about those things, because in the past I've sacrificed my own self and my own self-growth or safety or whatever that has been to protect the relationship with another, and that hasn't been fair. So that's been mine.
Lacy.
Yeah, I mean, we all learned so many lessons, and we still, as time goes by, we unfold and process even more about, wow, this is what that helped me learn. But what really does stand out to me most is that I feel empowered by the whole experience. I look at these women, I go, look, we did it. That was not easy. I mean, it was such a gift. Obviously, I know some people would love to be in our shoes, and we have no regrets. I'm so grateful. But at the same time, especially as someone with bipolar disorder, I didn't think I could do something like this. I didn't think I could emotionally regulate throughout a show where I would have no control, no routine of what I'm used to ground myself, to take care of myself. And dating people, like all of your first words with someone are on camera for the public. It's very, you know, there's this level of what's mine, what's theirs, and just you can get in your head. And I've spent so much time in my head trying to protect myself and worrying for no reason throughout my life, thinking I was protecting myself, when really I was closing myself off from life and from people and from love and connection. And so this experience showed me I can trust myself. I can take it one moment at a time, and I have everything I need for that moment within myself. It's already there. I can breathe, I can relax, I can stop being so tense, I can let myself feel everything, have grace with myself for the wave of emotions and thoughts that were constantly coming and going. But to know that, like, yeah, we can create the reality we want. We can shape it how we want with our perspective and the stories we tell ourselves. And I feel like that whole experience, as fast paced as it felt at times, helped me to slow down and be more intentional, more focused, more present, and more open.
And Josielyn, last word.
Yeah, it definitely being open to become vulnerable, especially in this like new world in Paris. I mean, dating and creating strong connections, and I mean, for me, it was all new, every bit of it. And to also just trust myself and my gut and my emotions, and to understand that, you know, what I'm feeling in this moment, it's, I mean, it might suck or it might feel very intense, but knowing that it, you know, that knowing to just ride that wave and let it go through, and having these girls with me was just so amazing. I feel blessed. I'm so grateful to have you girls, and to know that I wasn't alone, and I had someone who was going to be there holding my hands, you know, cuddling me, like grabbing me tissues, and you know, making sure I still look fabulous. Always. But it made me really happy to know that I had like this amazing girls that were in my family forever.
Beautiful. Well, thank you very much, ladies, for speaking to us on Valentine's Day for our Love Trip Paris. Can't wait to see at the end to see what kind of happy ending all four of you actually get. So
Yeah.